Welcome back. Tonight I have 3 scary stories for you. Stories you won't soon forget. Lock your doors, turn off the lights, and listen carefully. My name is Sarah, and I'm 26 years old. It was a cold December night, 3 days before Christmas, and I found myself alone in my grandmother's abandoned house. She had passed away the previous spring, and I had taken on the responsibility of looking after her belongings. The old wooden floors creaked under my weight, echoing softly throughout the darkened rooms. Shadows danced in the corners, and the air was thick with the musky scent of forgotten memories. As I sat in the dim glow of a flashlight, sorting through faded photographs and dusty trinkets, the house felt alive, almost as if it were watching me. An unsettling sensation crept through me, but I brushed it aside, convincing myself it was just my imagination. Just after 3 a.m., the steady ticking of the antique clock in the hallway seemed to fade. A heavy silence settled over the house like a suffocating blanket. Then, from somewhere deep within the walls, I heard it, a faint whisper. At first, I thought it was the wind moaning through the old windows, but the sound grew clearer, a low, garbled voice that sent shivers down my spine. Straining to listen, I could almost make out words flowing through the layers of the house. It called my name. Sarah. Heart pounding, I shot up from the floor, dropping a picture frame that shattered on the hardwood. "Who's there?" I called out, trying to sound brave, but my voice trembled in the vast emptiness. The whispering intensified, a cacophony of eerie voices that filled the air. I could feel the chill of dread settle heavily in my chest. I crept toward the hallway, guided only by the beam of my flickering flashlight. As I turned the corner, the air shifted, and I caught a distinct scent of lavender, my grandmother's favorite. "Is that you?" I whispered, the grip of fear tightening around me. The whispers coiled and hissed, louder and more urgent. Suddenly, I froze. In the light of the flashlight, I saw a figure standing at the far end of the hallway, an outline cloaked in darkness, with hair that flowed like smoke. My grandmother's familiar shape sent me spiraling into panic. She had always told me to never fear the dark, but this felt wrong. The inexplicable coldness of the room deepened, and I staggered backward, trying to rationalize the shape that loomed before me. Just as I stepped back, the figure vanished, leaving only an echo of her soft laugh. A sound that I cherished but now chilled me to my core. Confused and terrified, I turned to run, but found the front door swung wide open, a gust of wind forcing its way inside, sending papers flying. Stumbling through the threshold, I fell into the snow-covered yard, gasping for breath but feeling curiously lighter. I turned back to look at the house one last time. The whispers had faded into the night, but I remained haunted by the horrific clarity of that moment. I had come seeking closure, but what I found was a reminder of the past that refused to let go. Later that night, I lay in my car, parked under the moonlight, listening to the soft crunch of snow underfoot, a haunting lullaby echoing in my ears. I vowed never to return, knowing that some walls hold secrets that should remain buried. I'm Tom, a 30-year-old on a break from work, who thought it would be peaceful to spend the weekend at my Aunt Ellen's house in the countryside. It looked charming on the outside, nestled between sprawling fields and aged apple orchards. However, once inside, the vibe shifted dramatically. The house was filled with the faint scent of damp wood and dust. the air felt heavy, as if weighted down by the memories held within the peeling wallpaper. I spent the evening exploring the quirks of the old home, including the attic that my aunt warned me to never enter alone. As the clock struck 3 a.m., I awoke from a fitful sleep to the sound of soft footsteps in the hallway. At first, I dismissed them as the house settling, but there was a rhythm to it, too deliberate. Curiosity outweighed my sense of caution as I quietly slipped from my room. The hallway was dark, illuminated only by the faint glow of the moon peeking through the window. I followed the sound, heart fluttering in my chest with each step. The carpet muffled my footfalls, but the air seemed static, thick with an impending sense of doom. As I reached the stairwell, I could see a faint light flickering from above. Determined to investigate, I climbed the stairs, each creak sounding louder than the last. Reaching the attic door, I felt an immense chill wash over me. Taking a deep breath, I hesitated before turning the knob. The door opened with an eerie groan, revealing a flickering candle on an old table surrounded by boxes adorned with fading memories. What sent chills down my spine, however, were the strange markings on the walls, symbols and words scrawled in an unknown language, coated in dust that hadn't been disturbed for years. And there she was, an indistinct figure standing in the corner, staring back at me with hollow eyes. She looked like my aunt in her younger years, but there was something unsettling in her gaze. "Tom," she whispered, her voice soft yet demanding. "Help me." I stumbled backward, heart racing. The flickering candlelight cast moving shadows that twisted around her, distorting her features further. In a fleeting moment of panic, I discerned a sorrowful tale in her expression. She was trapped between worlds. As I turned to flee, the attic door slammed shut, plunging me into suffocating darkness. The whispers began again, all around me, urgent, pleading. "Let me out!" they cried, echoing off the walls. My hands, shaking, fumbled for the doorknob, but it felt impossibly stuck. Finally, summoning the courage, I shouted, "Let me go!" The candle flickered violently before extinguishing, engulfing me in an inky darkness that pressed against my skin. Moments felt like hours, but then the door burst open, and I was tumbling down the stairs, gasping for air as I fled into the night. Outside, the air felt cool against my flushed skin, and the stars sparkled dimly above me. I never looked back, leaving behind the whispers of my aunt, the secrets of the attic that I would never uncover. That night, I learned that sometimes family connections can lead us down paths we are not prepared to traverse. My name is Jake, and I'm 22 years old. It was the summer of my college break when I decided to embark on an unplanned road trip with two friends, Mark and Lily. We drove along the desolate backroads lined with trees so thick that they blocked the moonlight, providing an eerie ambiance as we ventured further into the night. As we cruised along, the atmosphere turned heavier. The air was thick and stagnant, carrying the smell of wet earth and decaying leaves. We were excited, laughing loudly, shouting at nothing in particular. But as the clock neared 3 a.m., the humor waned, and an unsettling silence permeated the car. That's when the engine sputtered and died, leaving us stranded in the middle of nowhere. The sound of crickets filled the air, creating a dissonant backdrop as we realized the depth of our misfortune. "We should look for help," Mark suggested, his voice edged with nervous energy. With trepidation rising, we decided to stick together and ventured out into the dark. I held my phone for light, illuminating the twisted trees that loomed overhead. The woods were dense, and the path we followed was overgrown, the leaves crunching beneath our feet sounding like whispers. Just as we began to feel hopeless, we heard it, the crunch of twigs snapping in the distance. "Did you hear that?" Lily whispered, fear evident in her voice. Curiosity mixed with dread, and I found myself nodding. We moved cautiously toward the sound, hearts pounding in sync. Then, from the underbrush, emerged a silhouette, a figure cloaked in shadows, standing unnaturally still. The face was obscured, but we could feel its presence threatening to envelop us. Panic surged through me, and I shouted, "Who's there?" The figure remained silent, but suddenly the air turned electric, vibrating with an energy that felt predatory. Then it stepped forward, revealing a grinning face distorted in grotesque delight, eyes glinting with pure madness. In an instantaneous reaction, we turned to flee, racing back the way we came. But the forest had transformed, branches grasping at us as if urging us to stay. We stumbled through the undergrowth, gasping for breath, when abruptly the sound of laughter broke the tense silence, a hollow, echoing laughter that rang through the air, chilling me to the bone. Without warning, the ground shifted beneath us, and we fell into a clearing, faced with a circle of grotesque figures. They stood stark against the moonlight, their laughter growing louder. I wished it were a nightmare, but the sensation tightened around my throat as they approached, shifting like shadows spilling out from the trees. But then, just as quickly as it had begun, the laughter faded and the figures vanished. We found ourselves alone again in the woods, the profound silence creeping back in. The path behind us was now hidden, swallowed by the darkness. Eventually, we stumbled our way back to the car, trembling with disbelief and fear. The engine roared to life, and with our hearts pounding, we sped away from the wretched woods, not looking back. To this day, I cannot explain what we saw that night, nor the haunted laughter that echoed in my mind. That road trip was supposed to be a memory, but instead it hangs over me like a dark cloud, a reminder that some places should remain untouched, and some laughter is not meant to be heard. If you enjoyed these true scary stories, consider subscribing for more real horror experiences, and don't forget to stay alert, because the next story might just happen to you.